Penelope Beckles-Robinson officially declares her intention to challenge Dr. Keith Rowley for the leadership of the PNM. Mrs. Beckles-Robinson held a news conference at Balizé House earlier today. Karen Kose-Philip has more in this report.
After weeks of speculation, Mrs. Beckles-Robinson publicly declares her candidacy for political leader of the PNM ahead of the May 18th internal elections. She says her decision was made in response to calls from people on the ground.
Listening to the people are talking to you, they are saying to you, yes, they are happy with the PNM, okay, but they want to see the PNM return to office in 2015, and they are of the view that you are the person that has the best chance to do that. And if you accept that responsibility, you only do so after listening very carefully to the things that people tell you. And having listened to them, I am convinced that there is tremendous support and that I have a very good chance of winning the leadership.
And she says her challenge against Dr. Rowley should not be seen as a personal one.
I mean, that has been one of my aspirations. It's not just because there is something about him that I'm challenging. Of course, I do believe that if I'm given the opportunity, I can do a better job.
The Lady Vice Chair is confident that she can make the difference in taking the PNM forward.
There are people who still believe that the PNM operates very much like a cult and that the PNM isn't sufficiently inclusive. And I'm sure you would have heard that on the ground, and that's one certainly an area that I feel that I can make a difference.
To the critics who think she may be too soft for the job, the former senator assures she can be tough when it's necessary.
I know very well when I need to be hostile and aggressive, I will do that. If I feel that the situation requires me to take a different approach, a softer approach, I will take a softer approach. But at the end of the day, I'm absolutely sure in my mind that I have the skills that is required when necessary to deal with government opposition.
And she also has a warning for the PNM's detractors who have publicly thrown their support behind her.
Mr. Anand Ramlogan, who seems to have gone over and above to say all these great things about him. He's not a member of the PNM. He cannot vote for me, and I wish to tell him to stay out of PNM's business.
Mrs. Beckles-Robinson intends to have a full slate to contest all the positions up for grabs in the PNM executive. And in the coming days, she will officially launch her campaign. Karen Kose-Philip, C News.
And the constituency of Mayaro creates history as Penelope Beckles-Robinson unofficially begins her campaign for leadership of the PNM in the district. What was labelled a cottage meeting in Mayaro by the PNM pressure group to preserve the Balizé on Tuesday night turned into a public meeting after an overwhelming response by residents of the area. Mrs. Beckles-Robinson noted that Mayaro was known for making history since it was there that former Prime Minister Dr. Eric Williams ended his Meet the People tour. The PNM Lady Vice Chair wasted no time in taking a jab at those questioning the timing of her decision to run for the leadership of the PNM. She said once she hinted her intention to challenge Dr. Rowley, all hell broke loose.
The fact is, I was good enough all the time until I made that statement. Having made that statement, you're hearing all kinds of things about Penny. All of a sudden, you're not PNM. You ain't work hard, all sorts of things.
And for those who've been saying this is also not the time for another female leader, well, this was Mrs. Beckles-Robinson's response.
The issue of gender will come up all the time. And there are people who are saying that you had Kamala, who's a woman, and you can't have an ex-woman. Kamala is Kamala, and Penny is Penny.
Meanwhile, the PNM political leader who is seeking re-election believes the May 18th internals will strengthen the party. Dr. Keith Rowley was addressing his supporters in Couva last night. He told the gathering that the internal elections is not just part of the larger national democracy, but sets the tone for governance.
So this contest of selection is part of the process, a broadening and deepening not just of the party process, but of the national democracy, because the PNM provides leadership at the national level. And what goes on in the PNM electorally is important to what goes on in Trinidad and Tobago. And if there's corruption in the PNM, practice here. By extension, the national politics is corrupt.
Students of the Department of Creative and Festival Arts, UWI St. Augustine, are against the planned relocation of the department, and they want Principal Clement Sanka to heed their calls. The students recently protested in front of the Creative Arts Centre, which is located at Agostini Street in St. Augustine. There are plans to demolish the structure to make way for a car park. The university wants to construct a new Creative Arts Centre close to the Hugh Wooding Law School, also in St. Augustine. The students have safety and space concerns over the new location. They also want meaningful consultation on the future of the arts at the university. The Agostini Street location is the oldest university arts training facility in the English-speaking Caribbean and has become the home of UWI arts degree programs for the last 25 years. The PNM plans to get to the root of the policing problem from a management standpoint. The opposition leader hinted at his plans as he addressed his supporters in Couva last night. He believes if crime is brought under control, the country would win twice.
If we are able to reduce crime and criminality in this country, it's like putting money in the bank. If we are able not to have to spend that amount of money trying to get people not to kill us, to make our streets safe, you win twice. Because you won't be putting on all that amount of money trying to jail half the country or to hang the other half.
Drawing on a recent example, Dr. Keith Rowley said the problem in this country appears to be the lack of consequences for wrongdoing.
Where in the world you could hear that a licensed medical doctor is alleged to have taken out cocaine from somebody's stomach in a private hospital? The person get back the cocaine, put it in a bag where they put it, and end up in a public hospital. You know the person, you know the hospital, you know the health center, and all of a sudden in Trinidad and Tobago, silence.